When you hear 5G, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably one word: speed. But, the real revolution with 5G isn't just about making things faster. Nope, it's about making our networks way smarter, a lot more personal, and unbelievably flexible. So let's dive into this truly game-changing idea called network slicing.
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the problem, the big digital traffic jam our current networks create. Then, we'll get into the solution, how 5G's slicing creates dedicated new lanes. After that, we'll explore some incredible real-world examples this opens up. And finally, we'll take a peek at what the future of your connection really looks like. All right, so to really appreciate why network slicing is such a massive deal, we first got to understand the problem it was actually built to solve.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're at a concert, a big game, you pull out your phone to send a photo, and nothing. It just hangs. Your connection slows to a crawl. Well, that's not just some random glitch. It's a fundamental design flaw in our older networks. Just think of the 3G and 4G networks as a simple, single-lane highway. Every single thing, from a 4K movie stream to a critical 911 call to a simple text message, it's all crammed into that one lane. And what happens when a road gets too crowded? Yep, everybody gets stuck in the exact same traffic jam. It's a total one-size-fits-all situation, and honestly, it just doesn't cut it anymore.
So, if the problem is one single congested lane, the obvious solution is to build more lanes, right? Well, 5G does this, but in a totally brilliant and efficient way. Instead of building more physical roads, it creates virtual ones.
And this, right here, is the key. Network slicing lets us take one massive physical 5G network and, poof, carve it up into a bunch of independent virtual networks. Each of these virtual networks, or slices, is totally separate and can be custom built for one very specific job. Now, I know this looks a little complex, but the idea is actually super simple. See those different colored bars? Think of those as different slices. You might have one for public safety, another for streaming video. Each one is its own separate protected lane that goes all the way from the cell tower to the heart of the network. They're all on the same physical highway, but they operate in their own lane with their own rules.
So, how does this digital magic actually work? How do you turn one network into a whole bunch of them? Let's stick with our highway analogy.
This really shows you the massive shift. We're going from that frustrating single-lane road to a multi-lane superhighway. And these aren't just any old lanes. Some lanes are built purely for speed, others for absolute rock-solid reliability, and some for connecting millions of tiny little devices at once. It's all about creating the perfect lane for every single type of traffic. It all breaks down into three main steps. First, you isolate them. These virtual networks are completely sealed off from each other, so what happens in the gaming slice has zero effect on the healthcare slice. Second, you customize. Each slice gets its own unique settings, things like guaranteed speed, super low delay, or ironclad reliability. And finally, you automate. The whole system is managed on the fly, creating and adjusting slices as needed to be as efficient as possible. Okay, that's the tech, but what can we actually do with it? This is where it gets really, really exciting. Because network slicing isn't just another upgrade, it's the launchpad for a whole new world of services. Ericsson really nailed it here. This is how you unlock the true value of all that 5G investment. It's about offering differentiated connectivity, not just selling one data pipe to everyone, but offering a whole menu of custom-built connections that people and businesses will actually want to pay for.
And the potential here is, well, it's massive. This isn't some tiny niche market. We're talking about huge revenue opportunities across the most critical parts of our economy. Healthcare is leading the pack at 21%, with government, transportation, and energy right behind. These are all fields where a basic off-the-shelf connection just won't work.
So, for us consumers, think about online gaming, or maybe AR and VR. A device, like a VR headset, could connect to its own private lane on the network. That slice would be built for one thing and one thing only: lightning-fast response time. And the result? A perfectly smooth, lag-free, and totally immersive experience. No more stuttering. Now let's think about something truly life and death. An entire hospital could have its own ultra-reliable network slice. This would guarantee that the connection for a remote surgery robot or a critical patient monitor will never fail. That's a level of confidence we just couldn't get with the old one-lane network. And in a smart factory? things get even more futuristic. A single factory could have a whole bunch of different slices running at once. Maybe one slice handles the massive data from high-precision robots, while another one is just for managing thousands of tiny inventory sensors. It's a kind of on-demand manufacturing that could completely change how we make things. Now, as amazing as all this is, we're not quite there yet. Building this multi-lane superhighway is a huge job, and there are definitely still some major bumps in the road ahead.
Yeah, the challenges are pretty big. For instance, how do you manage and guarantee thousands of different performance promises, what they call SLAs, all at the same time? A slice for robotic surgery can't just be pretty good. It has to be perfect 100% of the time. You add that kind of complexity to the high costs and new security risks, and you can see there's still a lot of work to be done.
But the innovation doesn't stop. The next big evolution is something called horizontal slicing. So if the slices we've been talking about are like dedicated lanes on a highway, horizontal slicing is like letting the cars inside those lanes share power and resources with each other. It's about making the whole system smarter and more collaborative.
And that brings us to a final and pretty fascinating question. We are getting the power to create a perfect, tailor-made connection for literally anything. From lag-free gaming to life-saving surgery, the possibilities are only limited by what we need. So as this tech becomes a reality, the real question we have to ask ourselves is, what's the next critical thing we should connect?